Hello, this is Dr. Janet SETO, and I'm the instructor for this course in Media Arts at the Canadian Pre-University Program in beautiful sunny Subang Jaya, and it is March 2016. And welcome to all my students who've worked very hard to complete Unit 1. Now we are on this section called Unit 2 and Unit 3. And I'm using this video to tell you a little bit about why we're doing Unit 2 and 3 the way it is. And it's because media is often something that is created because you're hired to do something, not because you are hired to be creative. We spent Unit 1 doing more of creative work. What you did was you did your logo, and then after that you did manipulated a film poster. You created a story in an audio form, which you then filmed in a rough cut. After audience feedback, we showed it at Media Arts Film Fest before a panel of expert judges, and it worked out very well. I think everybody got a chance to explore their creativity in the different areas that go into making a film, all the way from creating a script to getting the costumes, working with talent, i.e. actors, putting in appropriate sound effects, music, making sure that you've got locations that are appropriate, using different camera angles and shots in order to tell the story effectively, and then editing. Well, let's go into what we are doing with work in media. So the different types of work, I would call this part of what you folks call mass comm or mass communications. And in media, yes, I say that there is a lot of creative work. For example, Michael Jackson did videos, music videos, there's karaoke, there's films, there's television shows, but a lot of the work in media is corporate work. Now, you know I'm from Toronto, and what's interesting, somebody told me that in the work of Toronto, 20% is musicians and films. Like Drake is from Toronto. There are TV shows, there's motion pictures, but a lot of it is corporate work. And what we mean by corporate work is for-profit work. Businesses, they need things done. There's a lot that's in the non-profit sector, governments, health organizations, environmental groups, and they need things done. And for example, documentaries, which we'll be working on in Unit 4. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'd like to concentrate on the type of work that is for hire, either through profit or non-profit corporate work. Lots of visuals like posters and billboards, audio podcasts, radio spots. There's a lot of people who do shows on the radio. And then there's motion pictures, commercials, so under 30 seconds. You've heard in the Americas, they have this thing called the Super Bowl. With FIFA and the World Cup, there's often sponsors that they need commercials in order to move their products. So again, internet ads are a big thing. You see lots of pop-up windows. Now let's just explore the relationship between creativity and technique. What you've done in Unit 1 is I emphasized that in order to be creative, you have to respect technique. So part of the things that we've gone over is image, the rule of thirds, and I guess if I haven't emphasized before, a rule of thirds is basically in the frame, and this is something they do in photography. The image frame is divided into thirds. I mean, your eye automatically does that, and see what I'm doing here with this. So anything that is in the intersection of thirds, along these lines, or along this lines, or in the intersection of them, is where eye normally goes. So if you want to emphasize something, you want to make sure that something stays in the memory banks of the viewers. You want to plot them in these areas of the thirds. Also, because you're doing corporate media, you don't want cute music. You want beautiful, soothing, professional, adult-sounding music. Jazz, classical music, but nothing cute. There's this song that I hear all the time, which is the perfect example of cute, is by this guy named Edward Sheeran, and it's The line you hear a lot is, we found love just where we are. Now, what does that mean? Well, did you expect to find love on the planet Pluto? Did you expect to find it in the bottom of the ocean where light does not penetrate? Like, really, I don't know what that means. But that's an example of cute music, which is a #1 hit amongst young people. Well, when you're doing corporate media, you really do want to avoid cute music, 'cause cute music dates. Anyways, we've also gone over the 3-second change rule. You want to hold the image for at least 3 seconds, and you don't want to be past 3 seconds without something changing, because therefore you don't want to distract the audience. So you hold the image, you change the image 3 seconds, and you want to focus on good performance, convincing performance. So that's where you want costume. You want the actors to understand their lines. And you want people to get in the role. You want the entire cast to be focused. Anyways, the other thing we've talked about, and I've shown you videos about camera angles, on a low angle or high angles. You want to use interesting shoots. Do you want extreme close-up, where it's parts of the face, close-up where you hold the face? Medium, you want the body, or the long shot where you group of people. Editing, like the whole montage. And if you're doing dialogue, it's nice if you have 3 cameras set up. If you don't have 3 cameras, use your phones. And then shoot it from different angles. Shot, reaction shot, you want tracking shots, point of view. This is just a more sophisticated technique that really makes your films more effective. Okay. Now, what we want to look at is the emphasis on sound. You want to make sure that you don't have too loud music, just the volume. This is where the editor comes in, but as the director, you want to make sure that you give them good stuff to work with. And we use the microphone. When you have audio, you have narration, you have people, and actors speaking. Again, remember I've said, if you don't have good sound quality, no one really cares about your visual quality. Okay, so background music or sound stays in the background. You want to hear people talk, so you make sure that you have a good fit. If you have happy music, should be a happy scene. If it doesn't match, it's going to distract the audience. So directing. One thing you want to do is you want to make sure you hold the scene. You don't flash it by really quickly. Again, this is that 3-second hold. And you don't want to have just one angle. You want to make sure you vary. You don't want to vary it so to be too flashy. It's got to serve the purpose of the scene. And a lot of people like to use the green screen room 2.7. They want to book it up, but really you don't need to use the green screen room unless you absolutely have to. Any background which is white or blank, you can use it, and then you can edit it out. You've learned to use Premiere, and you use After Effects, so use that. Okay, then it says you want a clear image, you don't want it fuzzy. Again, you want to make sure that your on-screen talent have chemistry. They're convincing. Because if they don't believe it, the audience won't believe it. There's a difference between actors who are playing the character and actors who are the character. Robert Duvall is one of the he's one of the best actors of his generation, because when you see him doing the role, you don't see Robert Duvall. Let me see, I think the last thing I want to wrap up with when you are doing this is dates and credits. Now actually, let me just go back here. All right, so here we are, Unit 2. So as usual, I have lots of information in the spreadsheets on how I mark what you're doing. Okay, so use this as your frame of reference, because when I look at what you're doing, I look at this. Again, we have to have posters. We want to make sure that you track what you're doing, what I did. We call this, or what I researched, like the research log. Keep track of, as I say, what I did on a daily basis. We don't like things handed in late, because all this is leading up to the Film Fest in May. And you want to make sure that when there's what you show, a rough cut, we have a chance to give feedback before the Film Fest. So for Unit 2, Unit 2 is analyzing a PSA. Unit 3 is creating your own PSAs. Okay, so here we are. And let me just go back. So when you are doing your PSAs, Unit 2 and 3, and you're generating your video, make sure you end with your logo with the date. Again, we don't want any cute music, and you've got to thank everybody, including myself as your instructor, and we don't want you to flash this by. Again, if you want to know how somebody did a really, really good job in the visual media, go to Ang Lee. He's won 2 Oscars for directing, so not only does he know what he's doing, he knows what the audience wants to see. I'm going to be bringing in some samples of PSAs, what the previous cohort has done, and I'm going to be putting them on our classroom site. So our Media Arts 2016 classroom.google.com site, and then you could see examples of both Unit 2 and Unit 3 of the PSAs. And remember, PSAs are public service announcements. And what is a PSA? Well, PSAs are what government bodies or nonprofit groups really want to get across to the audience in order to change their behaviors. We'll go over that in more detail in class. So until then, you take care. Looking forward to seeing some great work from this class. This is Dr. Janice SETO, and I'm signing off, and see you soon.